Shema Israel Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Be'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha Be'kol levavecha o be'kol nafshecha o be'kol me'odecha Ve'hayu hadevarim ha'ele Asher anochi mesaveka hayom al levavecha Be'sinantam lebanecha o be'dibarta bam Be'shivtecha Ve'lekteka o be'derek o shok beka o komecha Ukshartam leot al yadeka Ve'hayu letatapot be'nenecha O ktabtam al mesusot betecha o bis arecha Selah. Hear, the Lord is our God, the Lord alone. Therefore you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength. Take to heart these words, which I am enjoining you today. Drill them into your children, speak them at home and abroad, whether you are busy or at rest. Bind them as at your wrist as a sign, and let them be pendant on your forehead. Write them on the doorposts of your houses and on your gates. Glory be to the Father, to the Son, and the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and will be forever. Amen. Shalom sa inyong lahat. I hope, brothers and sisters, I hope you are all alive and kicking, safe and sound ngayong gabi ng December 12, 2020. Thanks be to God, mabot na tayo ng December kahit naka-quarantine tayo. Audio check tayo kung sufficient yung sound o loud enough, comment lang po. Good evening, Father, sabi ni Vilma Antonio, Sonia Belisario, Chito Soliven, Marimel Bautista, Mardi Grace, Luna Ulat, napanood kita sa Channel 7. Sabi ni Brother Chito. Lagi kaming, dahil alam nyo naman, kapitbahay namin ng GMA, siguro pag wala lang mapuntahan na malayo-layo, dito lang muna. So, oo. Good evening, Father Randy. Sabi ni Sonia Belisario, Judith Basquiñas, ay good evening po sa lahat. Sabi niya, Father Ferdi Resuena, mula pa sa Timor-Leste, Art Bautista, good evening, kumusta po kayo? Sabi niya, mabuti naman po. No? At ito, alam niyo naman, pag December, kahit pala pandemic, maraming little things to do. Especially sa preparation ng simbang gabi na natatanging simbang gabi, unique simbang gabi dahil nga sa ating pandemic. Then Carmen Cao, June Calchelyar, Felix Cado, good evening Father Randy, sabi niya good evening din. Edwin Dawal, no? Bumabati din ng good evening. Felicitas Invento, Bing Kasilag, nasa wrong 13 daw siya, 113 siya ng Divine Words Seminary Tagaytay. Buti ka pa, Ma'am Bing, ha? Nandiyan ka na. Ako, last na akyat ko dyan ay, almost a year na ago, after the volcanic eruption, sunod-sunod ang pag-deliver namin dyan ng mga goods, relief goods. Ngayon, halos hindi na makaakyat. Good evening, sabi ni Father Ferdinand Resuena, listening from Timor-Leste with love. Wow. Ingat ka dyan, Father Ferd. Si Atenesi Valencia, sama si Kuya Pino, no? At ang Valencia family. Marieta Santoyo Magbuo Manalo. Good evening para sa lahat. Please comment on the sound, on the kung okay siya. Dahil hindi lang kasi mga iba nating gamit. Kaya something is not the same. No? Just last sa mga ibang live natin. Dahil yung mga ibang gamit dito, hiniram ng mga seminarista nag-record. Good evening, si Brother June Buena, tsaka si Chari, ating Bible lay coordinator ng Diocese of Cubao, tsaka kanyang may bahay na si Chari. Dang Guerra, peace be with you. Father Randy, good evening po. Fellowship at Susette Medina, good evening. Rosalie Besagas, Evangeline Sipa, Christina Tibaby Belocura, magandang gabi. Es importante. Magandang gabi po sa lahat. Valencia family. Test Terry Enriquez, good evening everyone. Ralph Palmahil, good evening. Si Cha, Evelyn Beltran Rolion at Doktora Nati Pagadot. Sama natin ngayong gabi. Nagba-Bible study din sila. Interesting yung mga topics nila about women in the Bible. So, then, si Doktora Nati. GB Grodora, of course, Deng Tengko ng Bible Apostolate ng Diocese of Cubao. Please comment on our sound. Ito Banson, our lector here. Martina Doria Jimenez. Okay, magandang gabi. Sonia Belizario, clear audio and video, Father. Thank you. Okay, as I said, medyo bago yung ginamit ko na gadget, spare, dahil hiniram ang ating gamit. Elizabeth Manzano, good evening. Roy Ermitanyo, good evening. Shoni De Guzman, hello everyone. Sabi niya, Rhea Bunuan, Maridel De Leon Meneses, good evening to all. Sabi niya, Claro Peñamante at Marcy Dalde, Amelia Viñas, classmates, sound and video are okay. Peter Poso from San Jose Manggagawa, Montalban, clear po ang audio at video. Thank you. Isagani, Austria. Deng Tengko, December 2 pa lang. Father, ano naman nilagay ko doon? December 2. Ano ba ako? December 2 pa lang, Father Randy. Ano baka nabanggit ko? December 3. Ba? Oo. Anyway, napa-advance. Audio and video okay, sabi ni Brother June Buena. Florely Salazar. December 12 pala nakalagay. December 12. Saan ko ba nalagay yung sa ano? Sorry. Sa subtitle niya. Okay. Oo. Kasi nga, iniisip ko, kasi December na kasi, kaya hindi ko matapos yung, we have first and second book of Kings pa sa ating installment. So, magre-recess muna tayo, just like other seminaries at schools, meron silang Christmas break. Nagsisimula na yung iba. Final examinations na ngayon sa mga seminaries. So, ituloy natin. Ayoko namang magmadali. No? Madaliin na tapusin. Kasi sayang yung... anyway, wala naman tayong hinahabol na semester. So, we will resume after the Christmas break. Kasi nga, very busy na rin ang parokya. Not only because of simbang gabi, maraming kasal, lalo yung wedding. Daming wedding dito ngayon. They are taking advantage of the simplicity and yung cheaper, of course, yung mga weddings ngayon. Sabi ni Brother Art. So, this is our last meeting ngayong bago mag-Christmas break, no? Which is on, hindi tayo December 12, but December 2. Advance. And we are to pause muna payagan nyo ako. No? Kasi pwede ko naman tapusin. Kaso talagang sayang. Pag magmadali, wala naman hinahabol na semester. Just like other seminaries na pag malapit na matapos ang school year, saksak na lahat ng mga topics sa subjects doon na hindi na-discuss. So that's not fair to you. So let us just call it muna a break. After this tonight, no? I will announce when we will resume. Father, bumili ako ng extended speaker, sabi ni Brother Art, ang aking laptop para na-feel ang pakikinig sa iyong Bible study. Yes, that's that's better. O kaya pwede ring para hindi marinig ng iba. Baka makakadisturbo. Okay, so let us we'll continue reading later on. Let us resume our discussion. We are now on section 18, and meaning 18 is usually 18 sessions, one semester yan, ang equivalent, or even more sa isang course in a formal setting. So, part 4 tayo, ng Books of Samuel, which tatapusin na natin, yung part 4 is the end. So, this towards the end ng libro ni Samuel, the second book of Samuel. But before that, do not forget that meron tayong Biblical Convention, the Catholic Biblical Association in the Philippines, 21st Convention. Yung iba na nag-paying participant, they will be able to enter sa Zoom, no, and possibly interact with the speakers, no. So, pero the rest, no, it's public naman. You can i-share ko rin dito, o i-share mula sa page ng Catholic Biblical Association in the Philippines, sa CBAP. So do not worry if hindi kayo nakasama sa list, dahil nilagay lang namin doon yung paying, not because you cannot afford to pay. It's only 300 pesos. Medyo nakaligtaan ninyo siguro. Kaso limited talaga yung Zoom. So, yung capacity nun, yung number of participants. So, pasensya na. But it doesn't mean if you have a donation sa CBAP of 300 pesos and to avail of a certificate later on, with certificate ito, as we have been doing in the past years, then you can also send pa sa GCash o sa bank ng CBAP yung contribution ninyo. In the past, 3 araw sa Tagaytay City. So you could just imagine how much the observers were paying in the past 20 years, no, ng convention. This is the cheapest convention, where when we asked only 10, it's the pandemic time. So, now, okay. So that is on this coming Friday, Saturday, half, meaning before lunchtime, matatapos sa Saturday. Mag-start ng 9 a.m. in the morning of Friday, and then there is of course, break, lunch break, and then matatapos sa lunch, before lunch time ng Saturday. Part 4, second book of Samuel, chapters 9 to 20. That is usually classically called the succession narrative, including the first 2 chapters of the books of Kings. Ito yung umpisahan na natin na discuss nung last time. So, the question kung sino ang next in line sa crown. No? Who is next in line to the throne? Mahalaga yan sa monarchy. The existence of a monarchy depends on the succession. Hindi ho ba? Kaya nawiwili akong pinapanood yung The Crown dyan sa Netflix. No? Wala kayong, kung marami kayong oras, yung The Crown sa Netflix, yung British monarchy. At yun na nga, ang itong one of the episodes ay about succession. And it is always actually a question, no? Sa succession. Yung episode na napanood ko ng isang gabi, nagkakwentuhan na tayo dito, Bible, but at least analogy, ay itong si kapatid ni Queen Elizabeth II, na dumalo pa nga sa Pilipinas, si Princess Margaret, noong nasa tamang edad na yung kapatid ni Prince Charles, na si younger kapatid pa, si Edward, napalitan na si Princess Margaret sa succession sa throne. So hanggang 6 lang ata dapat yung nasa list. So you can just imagine yung hindi ka lang mawalan ng prestige, mawalan ka pa ng support, financial support, and all your rights and privileges connected sa role mo na next in line sa throne. Pababa ka na lang, pababa sa linya na hahalili sa reyna o sa hari. So, here I have listed the names of those who possibly or possible and even attempted, no, to steal the crown. Unahin mo natin nabanggit na natin ito nung last meeting, itong si Ishbaal. If you remember, meron pa siya, hindi maganda yung pangalan niya, kaya Baal kasi. Bakit naman pinangalan siyang Baal? Baal, alam natin kung ibig sabihin ng Baal, Ish is man. Kaya in some of the Hebrew manuscripts, papalitan yung pangalan niya into Ishbosheth, man of shame naman. Okay na lang siya, basta hindi lang Baal. No? Ishbosheth. No? And as we know, already sa last discussion natin, he was enthroned or installed by the general of Saul. May he rest in peace, the late Saul, si Abner, but eventually si Joab, the general of David, will overcome them. Then you have, of course, the son of Jonathan, si Meribaal. May Baal na naman ang pangalan niya. Kaya sa manuscripts, he is also called Mephibosheth. May Bosheth na naman. Shame. P is mouth. From the mouth of shame. Ang pangalan niya. Mabuti na lang kaysa Meribaal. Ang kinikere mo na pangalan ay pangalan ni Baal. No? And you know the story of Mephibosheth, the son of Jonathan. He was 5 years old when both his father and grandfather died at the Battle of Mount Gilboa. Batang-bata siya nung namatay sina Saul and Jonathan. And pagkatapos silang namatay, yung nurse, yung the one taking care of the kid, of the child, napatakbo siya, nagpanic, and in haste, the child fell or was dropped while fleeing. After that, he was now unable to walk. He lame na siya, no? Hindi na siya makalakad. No? And some years later, after his accession, nung naging hari na si Haring David, no? And hinahanap niya kung sino pang naiwan sa mga anak ni Saul, no? Of course, hanapin mo. Kasi si Saul is the first king, and you know, the monarchy is dynasty. So, possible pa yun na maging hari yun. So, hanapin mo lahat ng remnant, lahat ng so, it happens na nandyan pa yung isang naiwan na anak ni Jonathan, na anak ni Saul, na si Mary Baal or Mephibosheth. And he was brought to him, to King David, and through him, he restored yung inheritance ni Saul and permitted him to live in the palace in Jerusalem. Sabihin natin, maybe charity, but it's a political move, of course, no? Ano bang sabi nung sa Godfather, yung tungkol sa enemy, no? Yung maging malapit ka sa iyong mga kaibigan, pero mas malapit ka dapat sa iyong mga kaaway, kasi babantayan mo nga yung mga kaaway mo. So, what is the best way? Well, to give him the inheritance para enjoy lang siya, wala siyang pakialam sa throne to trono, and then nadalhin mo sa palasyo para kasama mo siya at maging masaya siya. No? Kaso, ang isa pang problema nga dito kay Mary Baal, hindi siya makalakad. And as we know, physical disability ay disqualified sa pagiging hari. Diba? Nabanggit, the blind and the lame shall not enter into the palace, sabi pa ng epigram ng slogan noong ginawang center ng ni David ang Jerusalem as its political center. So that's the Mary Baal. Doon sa The Crown na napanood ko kahapon, makikita ninyo yung mga the attitude of the monarchy na itong si Princess Margaret, she was complaining kasi may mga pinsan pa pala sila na dineclare na napatay ng mga former generations nila, yung kanilang mother and grandmother, pero in reality, nilagay sila sa house for those who are mentally challenged. Kasi nga, may kapansanan yung apat na pinsan nila. So, they have no part sa palace. No? Parang sa panahon ni David, the blind and the lame shall not enter this palace. So, sila na tinago nila, kumbaga, tinago ng monarchy na meron pa pala sang apat na pinsan nina Queen Elizabeth at Princess Margaret, but they have mental problems, mentally challenged, and they are hidden somewhere sa isang charitable home. No? So, you see the preservation of monarchy and succession. So, he's lame. He cannot, pero he can be manipulated to become a king via a general or via which will happen somehow like that later on. Mari-review nila. So, I was talking about the line of succession na kay Mary Baal, but really, the big challenge dito is really Absalom, David's own son. Alam na naman natin, kahit anak mo, yung anak mo nga talaga ang magcha-challenge sa iyong trono. So, we will table this kasi ito yung isa nating topic, si Absalom. But there are other more who will really be possible candidate sa succession. You have yung si Shimei. You can read yung encounter niya kay David. Challenge niya rin si David. And then a certain Sheba, hindi si Bathsheba. Sheba is a name ng
taga-northern tribe, leader ng one of the northern tribes. He was a Benjaminite. He also belittled David. No? Si Sheba. In fact, hinabol nila, si Joab is David's trusted man, general. So, noong magkudeta itong si Sheba, the Benjaminite from the north, maybe hoping that he will, yung mga northern tribes will sasama sa kanya against David. You remember, David is south. No? So, hinabol nila Joab, the army of Joab, and nagtago siya sa isang area na the place is even called like the name of Abel, but that place is known for having wise people there, mga especially wise. There was a wise woman doon sa nung binisiege nila yung village na yon, no, kung saan nagtago itong si Sheba, who wanted to challenge the kingship of David. And sina Joab, they were already able to besiege. Joab is his trusted guy, his general, and besiege. Ibig sabihin, they were going to eliminate them all. Remember Herem? No? Kaso nag-intervene yung isang wise woman sa isang peaceful negotiation, and Sheba was punished and not the whole people. Now, we will also have a short topic on wise woman, kasi lumalabas sila dito sa narratives ng second book of Samuel. And pag nasa first book of Kings na tayo, tuloy pa rin yung buhay ni David doon, but David is already old there, retiring. And so magsisimula na talaga, si Joab could be a possible successor. In fact, there are passages there na he was interested. However, another one proclaims himself, si Adoniah, nung matanda na si David. And so, sina Bathsheba, you remember the mother of Solomon, maneuvered kay David na siguro talagang yung relationship ni Bathsheba at David is really not only one with lust, but also it's political. And she was able to make David promise that it will be Solomon who will succeed him. That's the first and second book, the first book of Kings, which will be discussed after the Christmas break. So, possible, sino ba naman ang gustong maging hari pag ganyan lagi, di ba? Iniisip mo lagi na may gusto mag-assassinate sa iyo dahil sa interest na maging hari. Now, let's talk about chapter 14, because this is one of a unique incident. You know, there is a wise woman, and she lives in a place called Tekoa. What happens is that noong si Absalom, you remember him, he killed, no, out of revenge, Amnon. Well, dahil sa rape ng kanyang kapatid na si Tamar. But remember, the revenge there is not only revenge dahil kay Tamar, but also it's a political move. Once again, no? Succession. Why? Amnon is another son of David, and older, and so possible sa line ng succession. So he was taking revenge, but kumbaga, he was shooting two birds with one stone, no? Revenge, at the same time eliminate ang rival niya sa trono. So Absalom fled after what happened, and Joab, okay, and they wanted to bring back home Absalom. So, nilapit niya ito. Joab is a general, but this is something also interesting that bakit hindi ang general o ang trusted man niya ang magsasabi kung anong gagawin ni David kay Absalom. Ang point nila, gusto nilang pabalikin si Absalom sa poder ni David. And Joab, the general, would still have to go to a wise woman. So, dun mo makikita na even in the heavily patriarchal society, like their culture, like their society, the opinion of a woman or a wise woman, a woman of siguro of good reputation and tinitingala ng society at that time, is highly regarded. Ang kanyang counsel, and this is a political counsel, what to do. So, it attests to the role of wise counseling women sa pamayanan nila sa ancient Israel. So, how does the wise woman when she was already with David, convinced David to bring back home Absalom. Well, just like Nathan, the prophet, he uses a parable. At yung parable, gumawa siya ng kwento, we don't know kung totoo yung kwento niya, pero as if she is part of the kwento. Na gumawa siya ng story, may dalawa siyang anak, no? Widow siya, at nag-away yung dalawa, napatay yung isa, and so the people wanted to take revenge against the one who killed his brother. Now, both of them ay kanyang mga anak. Kung mapatay pa yung isa, di wala nang naiwang anak nung widow. So, no more inheritance, no more. So yun yung... So, David, yung opinion niya is to spare, no? To spare yung anak. No? So, in chapter 14 of the second book of Samuel, that's where you have the story of the wise woman of Tekoa. Sabi niya, as the Lord lives, sabi ni David, as he is promising to the woman whom she thought na widow siya, na may anak na nag-awit, napatay ng isa at gusto ding ipaghiganti yung ng mga tao ang pagkamatay ng kanyang kapatid. So, David again through a parable, as if David is now part of the parable, he says, as the Lord lives, which is, of course, the way of making an oath before. Hi, Adonai, as the Lord lives, not a hair of your son shall fall to the ground. Sabi niya. So, you can just imagine that the judgment or the oath na sinasabi ni David is actually being applied to himself. He is judging himself. No? He judges himself. No? Kasi nga, that man, or that son who should live and not fall to the ground, kanyang hair, is Absalom. It's an analogy ng the wise woman of Tekoa. And remember, later on, Absalom, one of the striking features ni Absalom, we will see that later, ay nung mga bata kami, memorize yan kasi may mga awit na Absalom, Absalom, ganyan. Mahaba ang buhok, hair. Sa dami ng pwedeng pansinin sa kanya, gwapo daw siya dahil mahaba ang kanyang buhok. He has a long hair. How many shekels? O siguro mga 3 kilos of hair nung ginupitan niya. So, that's and in giving her piece of advice to David, he does not only use a parable, but he refers to the tradition of wisdom. Okay? So this is an artistic portrait of the woman of Tekoa, giving a piece of advice to David. But let us go to the poetry there when the woman, unnamed woman, she has no name, the wise woman of Tekoa refers to wisdom tradition, not to the scripture. And that is the characteristic of wisdom. No? It is the use of metaphors and parables and referring to traditions, to experiences. Kung tuloy-tuloy itong Bible study natin, pagkatapos ng former prophets, latter prophets, and then wisdom literature. Ito yung second semester classes ko sa dalawang seminary. And I've been teaching wisdom books, wisdom literature since 1999. Part of that is the book of Job. So, yung wisdom movement, ito, even in the ancient world, they have already the classical tradition of wisdom. Wisdom goes beyond the usual traditions of ancient Israel, na mga covenant, na sacrifices. They go beyond that. They go to a kind of international level or status. Kaya they refer to old sayings, old traditions, no, or traditional wisdom. Now, let's see, paano niya binigyan ng payo ang hari using yung wisdom tradition. Sabi ng wise woman of Tekoa, we must all die. Sabi niya. Remember, he is convincing in indirect way si David na allow Absalom to return. We must all die, sabi niya. We are like water spilt on the ground. See, wisdom tradition, use of metaphor, which cannot be gathered up again. But God will not take away the life of him who devises means not to keep his banished one outcast. So, contrast. No? So, lahat tayo mamamatay. Pag binuhos ang buhay mo sa ground, wala na. Hindi na yan mabubuhay muli. Remember, in ancient Israel, there is no yet tradition of life after death. Once you are dead, you are dead. No? You might go to Sheol, like Samuel, but there is no, they do not think of heaven and hell. No? There is a place for the dead. That's all, good or bad, they are all there. No? So, and that's it. And you cannot go back anymore. No? So, then, contrast. So, you have the thesis, the antithesis. No? This is the wisdom tradition. However, okay, so, parang nagtuturo din, no? Using an analogy. But God will not take away the life of him, okay? And that is David. He's telling that yung taong gagawa nito ay ang Diyos hindi niya kukunin ang kanyang buhay. The person who makes a way, who devises means to keep his banished one outcast. One who devises means not to keep his banished one out, thus referring to Absalom. So, well, the king agreed to the counsel of the woman of Tekoa, but as we know, that counsel did not give a good consequence to David. Kasi nung bumalik na si Absalom, nag-aklas naman siya against David. So I'm thinking there, bakit kung wise na yung counsel niya ng woman, dapat alam niya na pwedeng mag-aklas si Absalom, which he did, which he does after some time, just waiting for the opportune time. Bakit hindi niya na-perceive na Absalom will have a bad intention against David? Wise siya. So if you're wise, you can read the hearts. Well, siguro pwede mong i-explain dahil nga mukhang napilitan lang yung woman of Tekoa na pumunta doon kay David dahil kay Joab. It was Joab who quotes her what to say. His aim. Hindi niya sinabi paano niyo gagawin, pero sinabi niya ito yung gusto niyang mangyari. So it was being manipulated. Wisdom is being manipulated to work for the benefit of one. So, di ba, nabanggit natin din noon yung expression na the royal rape of wisdom. Di ba? So, that wisdom can be manipulated. So, anyway, the presence of counseling women in ancient Israel is apparent here. This is one, and then again the next one, yung another unnamed yung panahon ni Joab at Sheba, yung nabanggit ko kanina. So that's the second incident in one book, no? So it attests to the presence of wise counseling women in Israel, the so-called Isha Kakama. And she also the unnamed wise counseling woman in, that was Joab and Sheba, yung kanila. So the point is, as I said, I was telling you a while ago, no, you might think of ancient Israel as heavily patriarchal, that's correct. But once in a while, you have like this. They listen to, these are not wives. No? These are not so-called royalty. Pero they are treated or considered as a woman of high valor, of high status sa kanilang society. So they must have that kind of hierarchy sa society, sa lipunan ng ancient Israel. You have priests, you have prophets, you have the royalties, the princess, you have what else? You have so-called scribes, no? And wise women, counseling women, wise counseling women, the Isha Kakama. Later on, yung wisdom is even personified as woman. Once we go to the book of Job, the book of Proverbs, the book of Sirach, and all those wisdom books, the personification of wisdom is personified as a woman, wisdom. Okay, sorry. Either you have the Hokmah, which is the Hebrew word for wisdom, which is feminine, or in Greek, Sophia. You have the word philosophy, or Sophia Loren, Sophia, wisdom. So that's the point there on the kind of intermission. Now let's go to Absalom's coup d'etat. Okay. So I already gave you the yung introduction sa entrance ni Absalom, David's son, who killed his own brother, half-brother, because of the rape of Tamar, and now he returns to the kingdom through the through the counsel of the wise counseling woman upon the coaching, dahil yun ang tinuro na dapat na aim ni Joab. Pero lahat ito, pagbabasahin mo, simula sa chapter 15, and onwards, it should be about Absalom. Or after the chapter 14, luwasan mo ng Tekoa, babalik na si Absalom, and chapter 15, diyan magsisimula na ma-reveal ang kanyang real intention. Calculated moves. Talagang plano niya na to steal the crown. So padami muna siya ng mga chariots niya, horses, and then punta siya sa early in the morning sa gate. Bakit gate? Nabanggit ko na yung gate is the place for people to meet, like palengke. And then doon din ginagawa yung judging, yung mga pag merong problema doon sinesettle. So he went there, and if someone had a lawsuit, sabi dito, to be decided by the king, si David dapat ang gagawa noon na magde-decide. It's the king who should decide. Absalom would do it, would call to him and say, "From what city are you?" And when he replied, "Your servant is of such and such a tribe of Israel," Absalom would say to him, "Your case is good and just, but there is no one to hear you in the king's name." So, nagpapalakas siya, nagpi-PR siya sa mga tao. So, that's the unang ginagawa niya. Nagbi-build up siya ng loyalty sa mga tao. His army, his horses, and also the people who would be loyal to him. So, inaagawan niya nung role si David. Matalino nga, May mga gumagawa ng dyan. Alam niyo sa politics, ganyan lang ginagawa ngayon, nagpapalakas na sila, At malapit na nga ang election. So, gagawa-gawa ka na ng mga moves dyan, but actually, not in the name of but in the name of you, So, Eddie is described as handsome and long-haired. Royalty is sometimes like Saul and David, they are associated with being good-looking, tall. Yan naman kasi yung hari. That's always the yung impression sa hari. Must be handsome and tall. Kaya nga nung mga unang panahon, because this is not something proven, pati daw yung mga nagiging bishop nung unang panahon, kailangan may itsura ka, kailangan matangkad ka. All those symbols of kahit wala kang utak, siguro you have. So never mind. That's rumor only, hindi naman yan totoo. And long-haired, striking yung long-haired, because that will be the same problem that he would encounter pagkamatay niya. It's because of his long hair. And that's the one na ang measurement ng pagiging handsome is mahaba ang yung buhok. maybe because of the Nazarite vow, napapahaba ng buhok, no? And that kind of impression ay tuloy-tuloy hanggang ipoportray ng mga artist si Jesus, 'di ba? Jesus, have you seen Jesus with a short hair? Long hair lang. So, that's the measurement of being handsome. And even names his daughter Tamar. It's a political name. No? You remember that Tamar was by Amnon, and orchestrates an audience with the king. Nung ayaw siyang harapin ng hari, pinabalik, pero ayaw niyang harapin, no? Ay gumawa siya ng paraan through Joab, no? Para makaharap niya ang hari. Napilitan lang si King David o kissed Absalom. Siguro talagang alam ni David na someday this guy is going to fight him and sleeps with King David's concubines. What does it mean? Concubines, well, ito na naman, no? Women are being used here as the instruments, no? As subjects, as objects. No? The concubines are not only for the sexual benefits of the king, but also it reflects political moves, no? So kukuha siya ng concubine from that tribe, so para ma-unite niya yung mga tribe, meron siyang asa-asawa doon sa bawat tribo o bawat clan, no? That's part of your uniting the clan. So, at kung yung katulad ni Absalom will be sleeping with your concubine, the king's concubines, that means he is already making his move to go against the king. So, very clear already na may ibang balak si Absalom. And thus, he went to Hebron, kung saan na-proclaim si David na hari in the south, and proclaim himself king. Marami din tagasunod, no? But later on, pinayuhan siya ng hindi maganda, misled by counseling men, and he would meet a disgraceful death sa giyera led by Joab. So Joab matalino, he brought the war to the forest. Maraming kahoy. Ang hirap kayang makigera. So most of the wars sa movie, pag nakikita nyo, ay nasa plain. Pagkitang-kita mo yung mga pagsasalubong ng dalawang warring parties, no? Pero dito ang giyerang ginawa nila sa forest, so sumabit ang hair ni Absalom, katulad nitong portrait ng isang artist, no? Sumabit daw ang kanyang buhok. I don't know how that is going to happen. Paano masasabit ang buhok mo sa kahoy? Napakatanga mo naman, nasasabit siya doon sa kahoy. Absalom's soldiers refused to kill David's soldiers refused to kill Absalom. It's the son of the king. And it was Joab who did the final blow. Surprisingly, maybe this is the characteristic of David, instead of being happy and rejoicing that nawala yung threat sa kanya, he took it as a bad news. And pagdating mo sa 2 Samuel chapter 18 and on to the first verse of chapter 19, depende kung anong Bible ang ginagamit nyo, because there is a problem there of the versification, ay yung pang pagre-report sa kanya, tuwang-tuwa pa yung mga magbalita na patay na si Absalom, no? Nag-uunahan pa sila, nagtatakbuhan para ibabalita kay David yung good news. Pero when David learned that it was the death, pagdating mo sa bandang yung magtanong si David, very kumbaga the moment na malungkot, pati yung words na ginamit ni David dito sa chapter 18, nung tinatanong niya na kung is Absalom okay? Paulit-ulit niyang tinatanong. And then, nung sinabi na may the enemies of my Lord, the king, and all who rebel against you with evil intent, be as that young man, sabi ng reporter, no? Meaning patay na. And the king was shaken, sabi ng narrator, and went up to the room over the city gate. Makit siya sa kwarto niya, chamber, siguro may overlooking the city, and wept. And he said as he wept, and this has been, and this is now David's funeral lament or kinay. Remember, nung namatay si Saul and Jonathan, David also had a funeral lament, or the word in Hebrew for funeral lament is kina. Kina, dungaw, or panaghoy. Kung in Tagalog, dungaw is in Ilocano. My son Absalom, my son Absalom. If only I had died instead of you, Absalom, my son, my son. Notice how many times inulit yung my son. Beni in Hebrew. Beni, Absalom. Beni, Beni, Absalom. If only I had died instead of you, Absalom. Beni, Beni, my son, my son. So, beautiful funeral lament, no? Di ba? So, makikita mo, instead na maging masaya si David dahil wala na si Absalom na nag-revolt at gusto niyang in fact nung nag-revolt nung malaman ni David na he was sleeping with his concubine, sa halip na sasagupain ni David to wage war against Absalom, tumakas si David. He got out from Jerusalem. He fled. Umalis siya sa Jerusalem. And that's the end. Kaya nakapasok si Absalom. But he also wanted to prepare a war against Absalom. So, that's David and Absalom. Part 5, which is the last part ng second book of Samuel, chapters 21 to 24, sometimes ang tawag ng mga scholars ay dahil hindi mo parang miscellaneous, appendices, no? Appendix o miscellaneous kasi parang mga different stories put together na walang chronological, not in chronological order. Mukhang natapos yung chapter 20, doon magtatapos, and then you go to chapter to the first 2 chapters of the second book of Kings. Mas maganda yung transition niya kaysa yung babasahin mo itong parang throwback ng mga iba't ibang pangyayari, no? Na mukhang walang unity yung chapters 21 to 24. Merong narratives, nung nangyari, buhay pa si Saul, and then meron ding mga songs or psalms ni David, mahahaba yung Psalms, and then a poetry of David. So maybe let us see one of the songs of David there, chapter 22. Because later on, as we know, the Psalms will be attributed to the authorship of David. So yung tradition ng Psalms ay Davidic, and some of the Psalms are even directly attributed to David. We don't know if he really wrote those Psalms, but makikita nyo in tradition, David, from the beginning, as a harpist, no? And then, yung poetry that is being attributed to him dito sa second book of Samuel, beginning from that lament over the death of Saul and Jonathan in Mount Gilboa, and then uli dito sa funeral lament over the death of Absalom, Beni, Absalom, Beni, Absalom, my son, Absalom. And now, towards the end of the second book of Samuel, you have the some psalms, but long psalms, no, attributed to him. The Song of David, chapter 22, for example, the title is long, Song when the Lord rescued him from the hand of all his enemies, from the hand of Saul. So, going back to that part pa, nung gustong patayin siya ni Saul. Then notice how David, here in this psalm, attributed to him, addresses God. And it's still the language that we use today sa prayers natin, sa psalms natin. No? O Lord, my rock, my fortress, my deliverer, my God, my rock of refuge, my shield, my saving horn, my stronghold, my refuge, my Savior, from violence, you keep me safe. All these different titles of God in His quality as someone who has power. No? My rock, my fortress, deliverer, my rock of refuge, my shield, my horn. Horn is positive sa ancient world. It is a symbol of power. No? Horn, sungay. No? Now, pag sungay, Satanas agad ang iniisip. No? But no, horn, and you usually find that sa old Psalms na ginagamit nila for God. No? Mighty horn, sasabihin, mighty God. No? And stronghold, no? Tanggulan. My refuge, my Savior, from violence, you keep me safe. And then, concludes the Psalms with, you have given me victories. You have given victories to your king and shown kindness to your anointed, to David and his posterity forever, laulam, forever. That, again, recalling yung prophecy, oracle ni Nathan, that David's dynasty, David's house, posterity here, is ad ulam, no? Forever. That's promised by Nathan, now repeated here. Now, just a footnote, then, before we end this, and go into a Christmas break, itong ating Bible study online, kasi magka-Christmas. No? So, it would be hindi, kumbaga, difficult to understand yung birth or infancy narratives, ang tawag dyan, o kapanganakan ni Jesus without understanding yung story of David in particular. Why? Because noticeably sa stories ng birth ni Jesus, which you can find in only two Gospels, Luke and Matthew. Dalawa lang sila ang nag-carry ng tradition ng kapanganakan ni Jesus. In fact, it's a little bit a puzzle, no? Why John? would not have the story of the birth of Jesus, and Mark, the oldest gospel, did not prefer to carry a story of the birth of Jesus. Why the two? And why not the two? John and Mark, the Gospel of Mark. But notice, without the story of David, walang laman yung story of the birth of Jesus, because most of the time it refers to David. And what is the bottom line doon sa story na nananalaytay sa kapanganakan ni Jesus in connection with David? The dynasty of David to remain forever. So, you would understand bakit may papanganak si Jesus sa Bethlehem, the city of David's birth, where David was born. Bethlehem. Bakit magkakaroon ng census in the Gospel of Luke? So that dahil punta ka sa iyong tribe, sa iyong tribe, sa iyong house, sa iyong clan. And it was therefore made, the Gospels, especially Luke, makes it clear that yung census na yan ay dahil sa kung saan ka clan na kasapi. And it is being made clear there that Joseph and Mary belongs to the tribe of Judah, which is the tribe of David. So there you find him in Bethlehem, connected. And what else yung mga hari na dadalaw sa kanya, o three wise men? The purpose of that, no? And so forth, and the song of the angels also, no? So the story of David is kumbaga being parallel or embedded dito sa story of the word of Jesus. Well, tingnan nyo lang kung it's good to read yung the birth story, the infancy narratives, the first two chapters of the Gospel of Luke and the Gospel of Matthew. And you see it for yourself kung paano ni-weave ng mga gospel writers yung story nila about Jesus and legitimize him, make him a son of David. And by doing that, they are affirming that the oracle is being made fulfilled in Jesus, that the kingdom of David or the dynasty of David will last forever. And through Jesus, you have the everlasting kingdom now. So that's how Christianity interprets that oracle of Nathan to David, that his posterity, his house, will be forever. So see you after Christmas.